In South Africa, the use of derogatory terms tied to race or nationality carries significant historical and social weight. The K-word, the notorious racial slur used to demean black South Africans during apartheid, has been rightfully criminalized under the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act, 2000. This word symbolizes decades of systemic oppression and dehumanization, serving as a painful reminder of the country's dark history. However, a disturbing inconsistency arises in how South Africa handles another K-word, Kwerekweri. While the K-word targeting black South Africans is severely punished under hate speech laws, the slur Kwerekweri remains relatively unchecked, despite its offensive and divisive nature. Kwerekweri is used by many South Africans, particularly black South Africans, to describe foreign nationals, especially immigrants from other African countries such as Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Nigeria, and Somalia. The origins of the word can be traced to the 1990s, during South Africa's transition to democracy, when an influx of immigrants arrived in the country, fleeing conflict or seeking economic opportunities. The term is rooted in xenophobia, a pervasive issue that continues to plague post-apartheid South Africa. Its origin lies in mocking the perceived unintelligibility of African immigrants' languages, reducing their speech to something foreign and inferior. Like the K-word, Kwerekweri serves to dehumanize and exclude, treating other African people as outsiders and less worthy of respect or dignity. The question arises, why should one K-word be criminalized while the other remains socially tolerated? The logic behind this inconsistency does not hold water. Both terms function as slurs meant to belittle and alienate, yet the legal system treats them differently. The fact that Kwerekweri has not yet been criminalized, despite its hurtful and divisive impact, reveals a deeper problem of selective justice and social acceptance of certain forms of discrimination. During apartheid, from 1948 until its official end in 1994, the K-word was used to strip black South Africans of their humanity and reinforce their subjugation. The term became synonymous with the racist ideologies that justified segregation, violence, and economic exploitation. Under the rule of the National Party, black people were subjected to the brutal apartheid regime, which legally categorized them as second-class citizens. The K-word was a key part of the dehumanization process, reducing black people to nothing more than objects of scorn. After apartheid's fall, South Africa made significant efforts to address these historical wrongs, including criminalizing the K-word under Section 10 of the Equality Act, 2000, which outlaws hate speech that incites harm or promotes hatred based on race, gender, or ethnicity. Courts now treat its use as a serious violation of human dignity. In high-profile cases such as that of Vicky Momberg, a former real estate agent sentenced to 3 years in prison in 2018 for using the K-word multiple times while hurling abuse at a black police officer, South Africa has made it clear that such language will not be tolerated. Yet, while these strides have been made in confronting racism within South Africa's borders, the same energy has not been applied to xenophobia. The slur Kwerekweri carries much of the same symbolic and social weight as the K-word, but is aimed at a different target: foreign nationals from other African countries. These immigrants, many of whom fled poverty, conflict, or political instability in their home nations, have become scapegoats for economic and social issues in South Africa, including unemployment, crime, and strained public services. South Africa's unemployment rate reached 32.9% in the first quarter of 2023, and these frustrations often manifest in violent xenophobic attacks against foreign nationals, particularly in densely populated urban areas like Johannesburg and Pretoria. The term Kwerekweri is used to reinforce the idea that foreign nationals, particularly African immigrants, do not belong, that they are an unwelcome burden, much like the K-word was used to marginalize black South Africans under apartheid. In fact, it is estimated that as of 2023, around 3.95 million foreign-born people live in South Africa, many of whom face daily discrimination. Incidents such as the 2008 xenophobic riots, in which 62 people, including both South Africans and foreign nationals, were killed, show just how deeply this hatred has permeated society. Similarly, in 2015 and again in 2019, waves of anti-immigrant violence erupted in major cities, further demonstrating the dangers posed by unchecked xenophobia. The fact that Black South Africans, who were once the victims of the K-word, are now using a similar term to exclude and belittle other Black Africans is not only hypocritical but highlights a dangerous form of intracontinental racism. Both terms serve the same function, to dehumanize and create a social hierarchy that places one group above another. Yet, while the K-word's usage is met with legal penalties, public outrage, and significant social consequences, the use of Kwerekweri is often brushed aside as part of everyday conversation. This dichotomy reveals a troubling blind spot in South Africa's legal and social approach to discrimination. Many of the African immigrants described as Kwerekweri feel the same pain and alienation that Black South Africans felt under the K-word. The slur delegitimizes their presence, their contributions, and their rights to live and work in South Africa. It fosters an environment of hostility and violence, as evidenced by the repeated outbreaks of xenophobic attacks that have plagued the country in recent years. These attacks are fueled by the belief that foreign Africans are inferior and should be driven out, beliefs perpetuated by the casual use of terms like Kwerekweri. The selective criminalization of offensive language based on who the victim is undermines South Africa's broader goals of equality and unity. If the K-word is banned because it offends the dignity of Black South Africans, why should Kwerekweri, which offends the dignity of Black foreigners, not face the same fate? The logic for criminalizing hate speech is to protect all people from being reduced to less than human status by the words of others. To allow Kwerekweri to persist while condemning the K-word creates a double standard, suggesting that the dignity of foreign Africans is somehow less important than that of South African citizens. Furthermore, the argument that Kwerekweri should not be criminalized because it targets immigrants rather than a racial group falls flat when one considers that the term specifically targets African immigrants. The term is not used against immigrants from Europe, Asia, or other parts of the world, indicating that it is, in fact, a racialized slur. The xenophobia embedded in Kwerekweri is closely tied to the same racial prejudices that underpin the K-word. Criminalizing one without the other ignores the common roots of both forms of hate. Criminalizing Kwerekweri, like the K-word, would send a clear message that South Africa is serious about confronting all forms of discrimination, whether they are based on race, nationality, or ethnicity. It would also help address the xenophobic violence that continues to plague the country, reinforcing that such attitudes and behaviors are not only morally wrong but legally unacceptable. Just as the K-word has become a taboo, the word Kwerekweri should be recognized as an unacceptable insult that undermines the country's progress toward equality and reconciliation. In conclusion, both the K-word and Kwerekweri serve as tools of dehumanization and exclusion, directed at different groups but carrying the same harmful intent. The fact that the K-word has been criminalized while Kwerekweri has not reveals an inconsistency in how South Africa deals with hate speech. This disparity needs to be addressed if the country is to fully confront the challenges of both racism and xenophobia. To truly honor its commitment to human dignity, South Africa must recognize that no group, whether based on race, nationality, or any other identity, should be subject to such demeaning treatment. Criminalizing the use of Kwerekweri is a necessary step toward achieving this vision of a more inclusive and just society. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates.